Graham to start. And Brian, obviously, we have seen on stream at many of these big events during the tournament. He's actually only been playing in the UK since 2022, so this is his 4th year, and he came in and has absolutely stormed it from Hong Kong. I think it was 178, his first tournament rating, so he's now going into his 5th year of playing. He's gone above 170 every year, which means he's on track for UK expert status this year, just gone straight for it, and seems to be just going from strength to strength. So it's going to be a really good match, hopefully, between them. Just checking they look as if they are ready to start. So, just one moment. Okay. Graham drawing his tiles. And a slightly awkward looking rat to start with. A couple of duplicated A's. He's got them nicely, well, almost in alphabetical order there, not quite. Got the vowels first. I wonder if that's how he does it, possibly with the vowels first. So we'll be looking to get rid of the J, I would imagine. Not really a good tile to keep on your rack. And looking to leave himself some sort of balance, something like jaw or JAK looks obvious. I don't think there's an awful lot to choose. With JAK, he's got to think about the hook of the possible E on the end, but he's gone for jaw. That looks fine. I think, yeah, sorry, he's gone for JAK, not jaw. That looks fine. Quackle's slightly preferring that actually above jaw. And Brian, he doesn't seem to have very good draws on stream. Yet another unfortunate, kind of all right, apart from the fact that he's drawn 3 of the 4 U's, which is pretty horrendous. And looking at what he can do, is he going to have to change, or hopefully there is something he can do to get rid of the mess there. UNAU is a word that doesn't really go anywhere that's going to be very useful for him. I'm not quite sure what he's lining up there as a possibility. Yeah, I'm guessing he's looking at actually playing AYU and keeping the rest. So taking it's 25 points, which is difficult to justify changing, perhaps, when you could score 25 there. Hanging on to those 2 U's. Comment in chat as well, sets up his H nicely for next time. That spot underneath the U is quite likely to be there for the H for next time. So that looks reasonable. I do always wonder what they're thinking when they're looking at their sheet at this point, because there can't be anything very much written on the sheet. I tend to do the same as well and start just jotting things down. Is he looking now at changing and keeping a H? Quackle's certainly thinking that it is worth taking the points for AYU. His highest scoring option would be to play ANY underneath of the Jack, but really I don't think he could justify keeping 3 U's. Definitely not. So AYU is his best option, and after that he's looking at an exchange. Yeah, going for what Quackle likes best. He is going to be playing AYU. Not a particularly good draw, well, not a good draw for Graham either. Some quite nasty combinations there. Too many vowels. I'm thinking he is going right. So Graham has not spent very long on that at all. He has decided to go straight away. I think maybe I would have looked for a little bit longer, I don't know, but he's gone straight away for thinking, no, can't get out of the mess of this rack, and he's exchanged the lot. The only thing that was possibly worth playing there was GIO, making UG. But he has exchanged all 7. Nothing worth keeping. Give himself the best chance of getting still, obviously, all the good tiles still to come. Okay, so Brian has now got the nice option of cashing in that UH, making KYU underneath, which scores nicely. And the leave, not ideal, but it's 2 vowels and 3 consonants, which is the kind of balance that you might be looking for. So there is nothing too much wrong with that. Graham has very strong word knowledge. I've played against him a few times, and he also plays in the Zoom duplicate Scrabble group that we have online, something that Chris Hawkins started during COVID. He has really good word knowledge. I don't know how deep into the probabilities he's studied, but he knows a lot of pretty low probability words that I've seen him play across the board. It's going to be interesting to see if we see any of those today. And UH going down, that is by far the standout play for Brian. 36 points, keeping a balanced leave. Interesting that there are no E's being seen at all yet, so presumably going to get flooded with them. Certainly for the high probability word and the words that are in most people's vocabulary, obviously E, a very important letter. I'm always happy when I'm playing a lower rated opponent and I see that the E's have gone, because I know that bonuses without them are probably going to be less likely, less common words. So what options for Graham? There is nothing very good. He could even be looking at a second exchange. The only thing that he can reasonably play and score anything is to play Taj, which is what he is going for. I don't really like the leave from it, but having just exchanged once, he's probably thinking he doesn't want to have another turn scoring 0. But possibly it would have been the right thing to do. Tricky one. Still no E's, very strange. We're at a number of moves, number of tiles in and no E's. So Taj is kind of inviting Brian perhaps to open up from that triple at the top, but he hasn't really got any way of doing that. Again, all his options are a very slow start to this game. All his options are low scoring things. He could balance his rat by playing something like Fun to the left of Taj. Is that non-fruit? He's looking like he's lining up something like non-fruit on his rat there. So yeah, probably going to have to play Fun, I would think. Both players looking quite calm and relaxed. Brian particularly seems a very calm player the number of times that I've played him, and occasionally he's played a phony and he'd never tilted. He moves straight on, carries on, and usually wins the game. Very good at keeping his cool, and that counts for such a lot. Got a suggestion in the chat that he could possibly play turf. Obviously that would scores a bit more, keeps the double N though. But yeah, it's an option. Remembering that it takes a Y for turfy. Right, interesting choice there. He has decided to go, Quackle did actually like turf. He's decided to go for untorn for just 10 points. Not keeping particularly balanced, but it looks like he's gone for turnover there. Maybe looking for the E's, the S's, the other nice tiles that we haven't seen yet. So interesting move there. It is quite tempting in those situations sometimes to just go for turnover. The same as Graham exchanging 7, but so far we are still waiting to see a decent balance and some nice tiles. So with the Z, Graham might be looking at the double letter, triple letter spot, seeing if there's any way he can get that Z. There is one, well, there are a couple of plays that score nicely with the Z that are probably worth going through for this time rather than keeping hold of it. One suggestion in the chat of Durzy, D-U-R-Z-Y, Z-Y, sorry, Z-I. The slight danger with that would be where it leaves the Z. Quite a few 5-letter words ending in Z that might come from that triple on the left, but it is a possible. He could play Zurf, Z-U-R-F, through that U. Or he could decide to hold on to the Z, try and get something better with it next time. I actually quite like the play of V-I-Z-I-R, hooking U-R. But I think sometimes I'm a little bit gung-ho as a player and like to play dangerous and open things up. But I think I'd be very tempted with playing V-I-Z-I-R, making U-R. £29 points. Chasing some E's and some of those other nice letters. Brian only kept 2 tiles last time, so we don't necessarily know that he's got a particularly great balanced rack. Okay, he is deciding to hold on to the Z and playing Find for 11. Not something that I would have thought of, but Quackle actually had that as its second choice. I'm guessing it's liking the IRVZ leave, and it gives very little away. So 50 points for Graham, 71 for Brian. And before I can even say, Brian has played very quickly. He's spotted that very quickly. Through the F, he's gone for 50 for another 36 points, keeping the very nice IES. And things are, rack is starting to get in shape. So a very nice play there of 50. Back with Graham, and he has one standout high-scoring play down from the triple, which he is going to spot and play. Great play from both of these players so far. 57 points for Vizzy, V-I-Z-Y, so it did pay off for him, holding on to the Z, positioned where it is there. Brian unlikely to score very much from it. So very nice, takes them to 107 points each. So Brian's rack's still not really balanced. He's got 3 eyes now. And he is playing very nice. Again, playing quickly there, what looks like a good play. Civvy, C-I-V-I-E, through the V at the top. It doesn't score, it's only 10 points, but gets rid of 2 of the I's. Slightly dangerous, obviously, with the X and C nor for any, well, various 5-letter words that could go under the E of Civvy. I would be a little bit worried about what that might give away. But I don't think he's going to get hit with anything this time. And of course, he might draw something good there himself. Graham's rack's still not great scoring potential there. For those of you in the chat as well, if you would want to vote on who you'd like to see in the next round, in round 13, you can find the pairings up there if you click on the link in the chat. So have a vote of who you would like to see on next. Graham's in the position now where I always like to, well, I think all of us, we like to try and get bonuses as early in the game as we can, and he's in the position where his rack is still not coming together, and you're starting to think, am I ever going to actually take off and get into the lead here? He's gone for VIG, V-I-G, on top of the F-I, which looks absolutely fine again. One of Quackle's top choices there, 22 points. And Brian is now in the opposite problem. Having played off those vowels, he now doesn't have enough vowels on his rack, only the one. But 2 S's. So he'll be looking at using one of those S's, and yeah, he has managed to cash in on that spot that he made last time, using one of the S's, playing wins for a nice 45 points. Again, that's going to be the top play. So Graham's rack looking a lot better. It looks balanced. It looks like it's got some nice bonus letters there. But can we actually spot anything that plays? Comments in the chat that we want Harsh and Mark next time. Well, you can't really go wrong there. Frustrating rack here for Graham. It's with the various floaters, he would have some nice 8s. But just nothing on this board. While he's having a think, just to mention that Brian played in the best tournament which came back this year. It's a tournament that we have in the UK, a knockout tournament where people play a series of games just against the same player, usually played in people's houses or in mutually convenient places to play. The final is coming up. Brian has made it through to the final and is going to be playing Phil Robertshaw. I think that's set for sometime early this year. So looking to be a really exciting final there of best. Graham must be thinking, hopefully he's not going to be missing anything on the stream. All that he can do really is something like UM just in the top right-hand corner. He must be thinking, if you do that, I'd be thinking, well, it doesn't look like a great move, but it's such a lovely leave, keeping EERST. There are places to hook S bonuses onto KYU. So UM in the top right-hand corner would sort out his rack. Okay, he's playing the same tiles, but in a slightly different place by the look of it. Or slightly fewer points, but still the same great leave. And Brian has hit the first blank, got a nice rack there. Must have various bonus choices. I shall wait for the chat to, well, I say must have, let's wait and see for the chat to point out what he might have. He's got ACD, MOS and a blank. And he will already have spent quite a while looking at those while Graham was playing his turn. Oh, right, I didn't notice actually that Graham had actually hooked the E on last time. I do apologise. So, yeah, interestingly enough, if Graham had not given Brian that floating E, Brian wouldn't actually have had any bonuses. But now, assuming that blank is an R, and he has put down very quickly Mercados through that E. Going into the lead, 238 playing 141. Graham has drawn his own bonus. He's going to be disappointed to have seen Mercado's gone down there, but at least he has bonuses on his rack. And he's probably looking to see if he can parallel down the outside to the right of Mercado. Otherwise, he's got the S hook on KYU. A note from Phil Robertshaw that he and Brian will be playing on the 17th and 18th of January, so that's pretty soon. Should be an excellent match. Graham's best option is indeed to parallel, to the right of Mercado's for 80 points. So he will be looking to see if there's anything that fits there. And if he can find that for 80, that brings him within 17 points, so closes the gap significantly. Excellent. Looks as if he has found, something that goes there. So that's an S on the end for Bestars, I'm sure. 80 points. So he had 4 options there, all scored 80 points. Excellent find. I find that's where the stream pressure can come in, where you know that you've probably got something there. Chat are seeing it, and you've got to find it under pressure with everybody watching. So 17 points behind now. Brian has drawn the Q. He's got an I to go with it. He's not going to be stuck there. I'll be bold and say that it's rarely a mistake to just get rid of the Q. Not something you want to hold on to. So he can just get rid of it for 11 at the bottom there onto the blank S. Not sure if that's something he will want to do. Quackle has come up with one standout play there, which is interesting. I don't know if anybody in the chat has got any suggestions other than QI. There's one very interesting one that's come up. Not sure, I'm just trying to... It's simming quite a lot better than any other option. But not something I would be thinking of at this stage. So the option that Quackle is giving is to exchange the Q, or alternatively exchange Q and O. Obviously the P-I-L-E-T, possibly with or without the O, must be it is a strong leave. And I suppose putting it back for your opponent, given that, as somebody's mentioned, there are no U's to come. I think I would be going straight for QI. I wouldn't be thinking about exchanging, but exchanging Q or QP is coming out very strongly. I have another suggestion in the chat of Polt, P-O-L-T. Quackle quite likes Poet, making PST there. Scores 22, hanging on to the QI. There is one S unseen. I'm wondering if Brian's even considered exchanging. I like the option of exchanging the Q. Okay, so QI going on the board. I think that's probably what a lot of us would have done. He's slightly ahead, and it makes a lane underneath the Q, but there's only one I unseen, and it takes out that lane onto the S, onto the R, so it's quite a blocky play. That's actually blocked the board quite a lot. And Graham sitting there with a nice rack, but actually nowhere very much to play. Looking like unless something explodes somewhere, we're in for another. The board is now quite closed. I'm just looking at what Brian drew and whether he would have drawn a bonus if he'd exchanged the Q. Not quite sure what he drew first, but it looks like if he'd have drawn the N, he would have had top line and pot line and things like that, so he would have had a bonus. So we have suggestion in the chat of playing table, which looks good. Okay, so he's playing off the DA, making dam. Quackle also liked Labda, Labda, onto the triple through that AB, which is a nice move. Difficult one there, Graham. Keeping bonus friendly letters, but if there's nowhere to play, they're going to be difficult to score with. So it's difficult keeping bonus friendly letters unless you're going to open a lane. I can't quite see. Right, so nice play there by Brian. He is using that AB to open up the triple. He's going to go for taboo. Quackle liking oop there as well, O-double-P up in the top left, but Brian, keeping his fairly nice friendly letters, has opened up one lane, playing taboo there. Graham keeps getting these nearly racks, which again is really difficult on stream because you're thinking, am I actually missing something? So he's got E-dental and things like that there, but nowhere to play it. And not very much that he can score. Yeah, he'll be wanting to look at the remaining tiles, or they both will. There are a lot of E's unseen, as obviously was going to happen, given that they didn't come out for a long time. So whatever he plays, needing to get rid of one or both of those E's. Okay, he's going for ED, making EST. Could have also just dumped one E, making ZE. There were no great options for him there. I'm guessing with ED, he has sort of made another lane onto making an 8 onto the D there. With the tiles that he kept, there was a chance of something there. Okay, oop was available last time for Brian and is available again this time, and he's got it lined up on his rack. He's slightly ahead, just 23 points ahead. Cagey game. Quackle having Brian as favourite to win at the moment. Oop, one possibility. Another option that he could do, he could decide to close down that lane that he's just opened, playing something like Poon through the first O of Taboo. Score 16 points. I think I'd be really tempted to try and keep it closed because he must be inferring from Graham's play that Graham is looking for a bonus. Fishing, basically playing off tiles for slightly lower score and pretty obviously keeping bonus friendly tiles in his rack. So he's hoping for a bonus. So Brian's job here is to make sure that he doesn't get one. The S is going to be absolutely crucial. It's going to, there is a space for it, making KYUS. Going to be a really difficult board to come back on though, unless he can draw the S. which he hasn't at the moment. So he's gone for oop. More points than playing poon. And again, bonus friendly tiles, but no lane. So close to something for Graham. Just looking to see if that S comes out for Brian. It's going to be important. Even the remaining I to hook under the Q is going to be important too. Graham trailing now by 42 points. And he's going to be right. So he has decided now that he's going to open a lane. And he's going to play lift. So the lane that he's opened there, obviously he's going to need to start with a vowel. He'll be looking to play alongside that T, which is fine. He was keeping the A and the E. But also worth noting that that lane, it will be a face value only lane, meaning it's not going to be a double word. So likely to get him something around 60 points if he does get something there. Frustrating game for both players. It's difficult when there aren't many bonuses because obviously you have more turns, which is more heavy on your time, although they are managing their time well. Another sort of friendly looking rack for Brian that doesn't actually make anything that plays on this board and where he can't score anything. It must be quite stressful for both of them. Nobody saying not an awful lot in it in the scores. I would really be feeling that that S was going to be important. So Brian playing off 4 tiles this time. He is going for prole. That seems to do quite a few good things. He needed probably to get rid of the E. It scores a bit. It takes out that O lane. And Graham did not hit his bonus, but he has got the I to go underneath the Q. And he could get a reasonable score there this turn if he chooses to use it. And that is almost certainly what he needs to do. He can score 41 this turn. And that's, ooh, okay. So I think possibly he's overlooked the 2 5-letter words that played there. Yeah, he had raw in, as people are saying in the chat, and re-win. And yeah, he could have just about drawn level with those, but unfortunately, possibly not spotting those, not the easiest ones. And he's gone for Rani. There's still a lot of E's unseen. The S hasn't come out yet, but things looking good there for Brian. The X, the H, some useful scoring tiles. So he could either look at possibly, is he going to be worried about blocking the lane that, the new lane that's open, or would he just take some points? There's a nice score available for him at the top there if he cashes in his H at this point. Yeah, I think Rani was just looking at the chat, just overlooked. Interesting point from Stuart Holden. These two played each other in the best quarterfinal, which I didn't realise, where Brian won 8 games to 4. I had looked at their head-to-head, so that probably counts for the majority of the games that they've played against each other, because I think their head-to-head is 10-7 to Brian. Yeah, a good point in the chat that he could hold on to the H and cash it in later. That spot at the top is going to stay there. So he could get HOI there later for 31 points and decide to play longer, perhaps elsewhere this time. I think I'd be tempted to cash it in just because I'm on 6 minutes and I'm not quite sure what else to play. I think looks like he's lined up thinking about Oxherd onto the D, which would effectively restrict bonus lanes, getting through the tiles as well. So he has gone for Oxherd, keeping that AN. And unfortunately not the best draw for Graham after his Rani. 3 of those E's now on his rack. Quite nice tiles unseen as well to him. He can score with something like EWE, getting rid of 2 of those E's, thinking he's quite likely to draw more. So that goes underneath the HER, 26 points. A nice draw for Brian. It's not imperative perhaps that Graham gets a bonus, but it's going to be very difficult for him to catch up. So it's been a well-played game by both players. A couple of moves there that would be interesting to have another look at. They didn't really feature on Quackle's options, things like Untorn, so it might be interesting to ask the players about those. While they're thinking, I'm just going to have a look at the scoreboard to see if the results are in for any of the other games. Not yet. Harsham playing Gary Oliver this game. So it looks like it's probably going to be a fairly, well, a win for Brian. Not quite sure what the spread might be at this point. But Graham was on 9-2 with a good spread before this game, so he will still be right up there. And this will be putting Brian onto 9 wins as well. I'm also just going to have a look what is happening in the B division. So in the B division, we have Matthew Pinner. Again, a very strong UK tournament player, is in the lead at the moment on 9 wins. Followed by Amy Byrne and Peter Thorpe in the top 3 places in B. At the moment, we have the B division with 24 players, a smaller division. And in the C division, Michael Thomas is storming in the C division on 11 wins. And we have Jake Haigh, one of our very young players there on 10, with the potential to also go on to 11. So Jake doing very well. And Alvin Moisey in third in C. Graham taking his time here, must be thinking, how can he come back from this? Unfortunately, there is probably not much that he can do. If I run Sims in Quackle, I'll just explain what that is as well in a minute, but it is coming up with an interesting play of EEW to the left of the T of lift. So opening up another lane there, which I guess would be difficult to block. Interesting idea. But he has gone for playing EWE on top of Oxherd for 26 points. So just 2 tiles left in the bag now unseen. 31 points ahead, Brian. So he still needs to be careful. From his point of view, not impossible that there are bonuses unseen. A note from Callum in the chat there that Jake beat Callum when he was 8 years old. That's obviously not when Callum was 8, when Jake was 8. So yeah, still, I don't know how old he is now, but definitely one of our very young players. From Brian's point of view, I haven't looked at all the possible bonuses, but abortee is one of the possible bonuses that Graham could have, bottom left, so he needs to block that. He must be thinking about playing off, he would think, probably thinking about playing off 1 tile, although abortee would play in 2 places. The lower lane is obviously the more dangerous one because that's where he would score more, but it would also play to the left of lift. So he's got lanes lined up on his rack. I'm not entirely sure what he's thinking there or where that might go. He could, yeah, it would be nice. He could drop the E, making WOE, knowing that he himself is holding the last S. He's only got a couple of minutes to think it through. This is the time when you think, oh, I'm nearly there. You just don't want to make a mistake at this point. I'm liking the idea of WOE, W-O-E. I'm just going to see what Quackle makes of that. I'm never quite sure if I trust my Quackle or not in this pre-endgame situation. WOE is coming out worse than what it's actually looking at is emptying the bag with something like Lev, L-E-V, top left, but given that abortee could be unseen, I'm not sure why that is. Okay, so he is going for the one tile option, but not woe. He's played off an L, making Lex. Be interesting again to ask what his thinking is with that one. It doesn't seem to block the lanes, but presumably, is he perhaps going for a bonus? Was the L the tile that he needed to play off for the best chance of getting a bonus himself? Yes, also pointed out, thank you, that there is a possibility the G for glyphed. The G is, it's possibly been overlooked, but yeah, that could score some points. I'm absolutely sure that Graham will know glyphed. So easy to overlook these hooks. I assume he is also thinking about playing off one. But possibly his best chance is to play something like Brog or Berg, making glyphed for 38 points. I'm not sure whether he actually has a winning chance at this point. I think his best chance is going to be not to try and go for a bonus, but to play using that G hook. Certainly will keep the spread down. Yeah, Lasagna unseen. I'm not entirely sure why, but Quackle, which should have perfect knowledge, does not seem to be very great in these endgame positions. Okay, so Brian now has played Lise over on the right-hand side. Very low on time. Yeah, I'm seeing a few comments in the chat about Quackle. I felt that it used to be more accurate when it had perfect knowledge at the end game, but I'm now seeing the same. It says that a move is 100% win, and yet there is no way that move actually wins. Right, Grebo going down. I played in a friendly game last week. I played Grwboes. I always get confused. There are a few different versions there of Grebo. Apologies if I'm slightly ahead on the commentary, but yeah. And very quickly, Brian is going to need to play out. He managed his time extremely well, or rather down to the wire, both of them. And they're just agreeing the scores. So a nice win